Are you salty about the Guild Wars 2 pre-purchase announcement? Well, it could be worse. You could be getting a root canal. Seriously, root canal bad. Howdy folks, and welcome back to another episode of Tyria Talk. My name is Richie Procopio, aka Otter, and this show is all about Guild Wars 2. Today is episode number 79, and today we're going to be talking about the Guild Wars 2 expansion, Heart of Thorns, pre-purchase, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Cue dramatic music, and a lightning bolt. This is a lightning bolt. Before we get into the topic at hand, a little bit of transparency for those of you who might not know this. ArenaNet supports my content, so they help me promote some of my videos on social media platforms. They've flown me out to their office and to conventions before to preview new content, and they also give me a referral link. So if people buy the expansion through the referral link, it actually directly supports me. So, but there is no contractual obligation on my part to actually only say nice things. I'm allowed to say whatever I want. I'm allowed to be brutally honest about things. They have not bought my opinion, so to speak. But if you're the type of person that's not going to believe that or thinks that my bias in this regard totally invalidates my opinion, well, you should probably shut off the video now. So last night I was part of an event for the E3 live stream when Colin Johansson went on PC Gamer and got interviewed by Day 9, and he revealed a whole bunch of things about guild halls. And at the end of it, he dropped a bomb on the community and basically said, pre-purchase for the expansion is now live. And people were super excited for a few seconds, and then a lot of drama started hitting the fan. So I'm going to cover today what are some of the community's reactions to the pre-purchase deals, and then I'm going to give some of my opinions on things. And you know, it's harsh. There's a lot of things to unpack here, and I hope I don't forget anything. There's a lot of things that the community's upset about. There's a lot of things that ArenaNet could have changed up a little bit in order to placate some of that. And, you know, but just in general, just notice that I'm the type of person, and if you watch my videos, you already know this. I'm not the type of person to get all up in arms very easily. I'm not going to scream, the sky is falling. I'm going to kind of look at both sides and try to analyze things in a calm and kind of logical manner. And, you know, so if you're looking for a big rant, I'm not going to be ranting. I'm going to unpack each of these little issues one at a time. So let's start with the first thing. One of the first things the community is upset about is the pre-purchase packages. There's 3 different editions, okay? And the base edition is $50, and that unlocks the expansion. But there is a condition that says if you pre-purchase the base game for $50 and you're a new player, then you also unlock the core game for free. And this has caused a lot of the veteran players to feel like they are getting ripped off, so to speak. They look at the $50 price tag of the expansion, which is kind of like a regular box price. Some people think the expansion should be less money because, you know, you're probably getting less content overall than the original game did. Right? So there's some logic there. So some people are thinking, if you're a new player, you're getting the core game and the expansion for $50, but a veteran player, I'm just getting the expansion for $50, and so I'm getting ripped off. Where's my what do I get out of it? Since I'm a person that's been playing the game all along, and I already paid $50 or $60 3 years ago for the game. What am I getting for that? And there's a little bit of a messaging issue here from ArenaNet and a little bit of a perception issue from the community, because what I really believe happened was the cost of the game was set and always going to be $50 for the Heart of Thorns expansion. And somebody at ArenaNet probably thought of an idea, hey, you know what? We don't really want a lot of accounts out there that have the core game and not the expansion, right? Because all the Living World updates that are going to be coming out post the launch of the expansion, you're going to require the expansion to actually go into the new zones, to see the story instances, to see anything that they put out in the open world, in these new zones. So they don't want a lot of accounts running around that just have the base game. So why not make it easy for the newer players to kind of jump into the expansion? We'll roll it all into one. They won't have to buy them separately. You know, they've already done a bunch of sales, for the game where some people could get it for $10 anyway. Let's just package that together. And a lot of people probably went, oh, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's get new players in there. And it was considered a bonus, an add-on. It wasn't raising the price to $50. It was $50 was the price, and this was an added benefit for newer players. But instead of the community kind of perceiving that way, they perceived it, like I said originally, that, hey, a new player gets this great deal, but I'm a player that's poured hundreds of hours into this game and paid for this game, years ago. Like, why do I have to buy this package deal? Why do I have to buy this bundle? Why can't I buy the expansion at a lower price that doesn't include the core game? And so it's a mix of perceptions there. So ArenaNet's good intentions of trying to help newer players get into the game, which, by the way, helps everybody out. The more players that are in the world, the more alive it feels, the more money the ArenaNet makes, the better the game is overall. So it's good to actually attract new players. But it looks like their good intentions has created this bad perception. And the problem with perceptions are, for a lot of players, and you can look on the forums and on Reddit and such like that, this perception is a reality, right? There's a serious PR issue going on around this one specific issue, but we're going to get into some other issues as well. This one specific issue, this has gone poorly. They try to do something nice and it hasn't worked out well. The problem from my perspective is, if they just came out and said the expansion is $50 for just the core game, and they didn't say anything at all about pre-ordering, pre-purchasing, also giving you the core game for new players, then there would be a lot less hullabaloo. There would be a lot less of this crap storm going on right now. There would still be some issues. People would still complain. People would complain no matter what they did. I'm sure if they sold the expansion for for $5, there'd still be somebody out there that would complain about something. But think about that. So if the community would be less upset if they didn't include the free copy for new players at all and they just charged $50. That's what kills me about this. It seems like there would be less of an issue about that, and that's just sort of crappy. It's kind of like, we don't want those people getting something for free because we'd rather them have nothing. And that's where I think it kind of hurts. My perspective is people look at that new player as some random person, but think about a specific person, right? I think about my dad. Maybe I want to get my dad into Guild Wars 2, or some of my friends that don't play. Once I put a face or a name to it, well, this is a pretty good deal, right? I could say to them very easily, hey, the expansion's coming out, there's going to be a lot of cool new stuff, and you don't have to buy the base game. You just buy you pre-purchase the whole thing together, and boom, and that might actually help you get more people playing the game that you can actually play with. So that's kind of like the big first issue there is the fact that the new player experience was bundled in, and players are perceiving that as, I would rather be able to just pay $40 for the game and not have it include the actual new player experience or the core game in there. So one thing I've seen suggested over and over again is that, hey, why not just let veteran players get the package deal for $50, but give them a game code that they can give a friend or stuff to have the base game? Well, that's all well and good, but there's a couple issues. First of all, I think that would be pretty complicated, right? They'd have to split that purchase into two different serial codes that don't necessarily have something to do with each other. So I would assume that there's some sort of technical issue that kind of bars that. But let's say you can get over that. I don't think they want to add a whole bunch of players to the game that only have the base game for reasons I mentioned earlier, right? Everything that's coming out with the Heart of Thorns content post-launch, living world updates, the story instances, any boss battles they add, any new areas to the maps, whatever, it's all going to require the expansion to play. So let's say 1 million people buy the expansion, 1 million veteran players buy the expansion. Now there's suddenly 1 million codes out there for the base game that they can give. Sure, it might bring in a whole influx of players, and sure, some of them might convert and actually buy the Heart of Thorns expansion, but yeah, there would be a lot of players out there that would have just the base game and not be able to take part into a lot of things like gliding and guild halls and all these other things. So yeah, I don't think that's something that they want to do for the game. And then what happens though? Does the person that actually got one of these codes, then they buy the expansion, and do they get a code now? And like so on and so on, so the game like just becomes perpetually free for the. So it's a complicated thing. I don't think it's smart. I don't think that ArenaNet will ever do that. And I realize that you're just trying to kind of get something more out of that to kind of to make yourself feel better about this kind of miscommunication here. But I don't think that's the solution. And that kind of brings me to a big point that I've been saying and responding in a lot of comments and stuff like that is. It's perfectly valid for you to look at the box price at $50 and say, that's too much money. Okay, that I wanted my expansion to be $30 or $40. $50 is not worth it to me. And there's a lot of valid concerns about that. Nobody can really argue with that. If that, for you personally, is too much money, then great. But that's what the argument should be. The argument should be around, focus on the $50, focus on your budget, focus on that. Focus on the fact that you're not willing to spend $50 when they haven't even really announced all the features yet. What are all the specializations for the different classes? What is this challenging group content? Give us more of the features, and then I might pre-purchase for $50. But, having a lot of these things, like a release date, like still up in the air, and you want me to pay the full price for the game, all right, so make that your issues. I think those are all very excellent reasons not to pre-purchase right now. It's totally valid. But I don't love this perception of, I feel like as a veteran player, I need more. So yeah, there's several people that have posted either comments or there was one blog post by someone I used to work with at Massively. He just laid out that so far all the features that have been talked about in the expansion have not really gotten me excited, and then with this pre-purchase, the pricing model that they went with, it's turned me off, and I think this is where me and Guild Wars 2 part ways. Can't argue with that. So I think that's what the majority of people should focus on. Make that choice for yourself personally, based on the financial things, based on what you see from the game, and see whether it's worth it or not. I don't like the fact that it seems like everybody's getting wrapped into this. I'm entitled to more as a veteran player. You're giving this game for free to the newer players. Because veteran players saying, like, what else do I get? What do I get? What was my reward for buying it 3 years ago? Well, your reward for buying it 3 years ago was being able to play the game for these 3 years, right? There's a lot of content. People forget there's a lot of content that's been added to the game post-launch. That was all given for free. All those content updates for free. For a long period of time, they were doing new content every 2 weeks. They've done a ton of different holidays, special events, and things that were never going to be put back in the game. Even if they put the Living World Season 1 stuff back in the game, there's still stuff like the ancient Karka event and some of the attacks on Lion's Arch and different things that are just not going to come around again. And so you got to play the game and experience all of those things all along. And you know what? Here comes an expansion. And keep in mind that $50 for this new expansion not only gives you the features that have been mentioned, though I think we could use some more clarity, like I said, about what some of those features are, but it's also going to be paying for the Living World updates that are going to come out post the launch of the expansion. So you're paying for another couple years of probably content there, because I would imagine we would go a few more years again before we get another expansion. Let's talk about that $50 price tag for a minute. Like I said, if you personally think that's too expensive, that's a perfectly valid reason. But why is it $50? Why did ArenaNet choose that price point? Because, some people would definitely expect, hey, you know what? You're not getting as much content as the original game. Why shouldn't it be $30 or $40 for that? First of all, this is not atypical, right? World of Warcraft, Warlords of Draenor just came out, I guess, November of last year? That's the same price. It's $50. And that has a subscription fee on top of it. And you don't see a lot of people going up in arms about that, but there's probably people that thought that was too much and didn't buy the game. But World of Warcraft, you come out with the game, the game is, 10 plus years old, and you have that subscription fee. You're paying $15 every single month, and they charge $50 versus $50 for this game. I illustrate that just to say it's not a crazy idea to charge $50 for an expansion. Is Warlords of Draenor less content than the original game? Yes, it certainly is, and it's the same reason here. But I really think that ArenaNet is, because of their business model the way it is, they're relying on this box sale to really drum up a lot of revenue and profits for themselves, right? They certainly do well with the gem store. There's no question about that. But I would think that the majority of players in Guild Wars 2 purchased the game 3-something years ago and haven't spent a dime in the gem store. I would I don't have any of those statistics. There's no way for me to know that, but I would think that it's all that the cash shop works like a lot of the games, where there's certain hardcore members of the community that are considered whales who spends their $30 or $40 a month in there, maybe even hundreds of dollars a month in there for the really kind of insane out there. But I think the large majority of the people just don't spend anything. So this is a really good way for ArenaNet to make money. They're a business. I don't think anybody begrudges them trying to make money. But that's why I think the box price is $50. They knew that they have to go in, they have to make a lot of money from this expansion, and that's just it. And like I said, I don't think it's so out of whack. Would I have loved it to be $40? Sure, I would love it to be $40. Other people are saying it should include a character slot. Okay, they added a new profession. They have limited character slots in Guild Wars 2. Yes, it would have been nice to have to put that character slot that they put in the $75 edition, bring that down to the $50 edition, make some people happier. I don't think that would erase all of the drama around this, but yeah, it would definitely seem like a little bit more worthwhile. I believe in Guild Wars 1, like Nightfall and different things like that, they added character slots when they added some things, so there's that perception in the community. By the way, this is not a thing that happens in a lot of other video games. I remember specifically in World of Warcraft having my full 8 characters in the server I was on when the Death Knight came out, and I had to delete one of my max level characters to actually create my Death Knight. Sure, they allow you to have 50 characters across your entire account in World of Warcraft, but what good is that if it's on a different server than all my friends in my guild? So I had to delete a character. Like, I never thought twice about that. So I don't know. It was interesting seeing how many people thought that the character slot would be included. But I understand Guild Wars 1 kind of set a precedent there. Yes, $40 expansion include a character slot. It would have been so nice. But I don't begrudge $10 extra, around $50 for the price of it, and then leaving the character slot for the $75. To me, it's worth it. If I made a video a week ago, I could have easily made, before all of this happened, I could have easily made the case that Guild Wars 2 has had the biggest ratio of content and content to the price that you have to pay to kind of get into the game. I've said this. I've said that before. That I think that Guild Wars 2, out of all of the MMOs that I've played, it's the most bang for your buck. It is certainly a deal. We've spent thousands of hours. We were comparing our /age with our guildmates the other night, and some people had 2,000, 3,000, 6,000 hours spent in the game. And I don't begrudge paying another $50. But that's just me personally. Like I said, if that's too much for you, then that's a whole separate argument. So let's talk about some of the other issues. Another issue that came up is, well, why was ArenaNet putting the game way on sale so much over the past few months if they knew that they were going to give away the game for free once the pre-purchase came up? Well, I do think it's hard to know the timing of these things. I wouldn't be surprised if some of those sales, because those sales I think happened in January, February, and March. I wouldn't be surprised if some of these decisions happened after that, right? They switched gears at some point, right? Notice we haven't had a sale, a 50% off sale, or 75% off for $10, 75% off sale since March. So maybe around March they said, ooh, okay, we're going to include that now, so let's not have any of those other sales. By the way, they did mention, I think, you have to research this on your own, but I think if anybody's bought the game within the last 30 days or so, you can kind of get a refund and then or upgrade that to the Heart of Thorns pre-purchase. So contact support if you fall into that. But if you were one of the, so it is a little bit sucky that they sold the game for $10. They pushed sales in January, February, and March as a result of those sales because people thought that, hey, I have to buy the core game anyway before I get the expansion, and now they're changing that up. So I definitely agree with that feedback. I do think that the majority of people that did that, well, I don't know about the majority of people, but people who bought the game in January, February, and March for a really reduced, deep discount, if you've been playing the game since January, February, March, well, then you've probably gotten your $10 worth, all right? And how many people bought the game in January and said, you know what, I'm going to save it for when the expansion comes out, but at least I got it, and I got it for $10. There's probably some people that fall in that boat, but I don't know how many there is. So, but certainly if they've played the game for any length of period of time since then, well, that's what the $10 got you. You got to get in early. You got to play for all of these months, and that's what you're getting out of that. But yeah, definitely doesn't look great to have things like the FAQ be out of date, saying you require the expansion, you require the core game to play the expansion, and you're going to need the expansion to continue the content and stuff like that, and then kind of change that up and roll it all up into the Heart of Thorns package and change the FAQs and stuff like. So they're fixing language on their websites. I don't think they're trying to do anything particularly shady, but it's being perceived poorly. All of these issues are getting rolled up and perceived poorly, and it's a shame. People should be banding together and being excited. We've been waiting for, this moment. Like, people wanted to pre-purchase as early as January, or at least pre-order of some sort. And we should all be happy at this point. And it sucks that all of these issues come in. So, it's just a difficult topic overall to kind of encapsulate all the different sides and all the little working parts, because there's a lot of people that are upset at various different things. So overall, I think there were some missteps by ArenaNet in terms of how they communicated some things, and maybe maybe they could have done some things to avoid some of this backlash. I do honestly believe they were trying to do something nice to the new players, and I think that the price of the game was going to be $50 the whole time. I'm so sad that the perception is totally the opposite of that now, that with veteran players feeling like they're getting a ripoff. That's a shame. I don't know if there's a way for them to fix that. But yeah, I truly think that their heart was in the right place with this, and just the perception is just that people are, they feel like the veteran players are just getting, screwed over on the deal. Some other things, or one thing in particular that I was wishing, and I think a lot of people were, I wish there was going to be a physical collector's edition. I know a lot of people like having all of the physical goodies that come out of that, and maybe getting another statue or something like that. Art books or maps or something that you can kind of get your hands on it to show your extra support for the game. So it's a little bit sad that they don't have that. So that's one thing that I would have rather had. Obviously, I also think that the core game, the core package, it would have been nicer if it was at a slightly lower price point, and possibly with maybe one extra goodie or something like that in there, just to make it feel a little bit more valuable. And I also wish that we had more information. I think all of the, I think specifically for me personally, I would like to have known what the challenging group content is before the game, before the pre-purchase kind of went live. But overall, if you get anything out of this message, it's please don't focus on why don't I get something as a veteran player? Don't focus on that. Look at the price. Look at what you've gotten for the original price that you purchased 3 years ago. Look at what they've announced for the expansion so far, and look at the price points. And if you don't think it's worth it right now, focus on that and say, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait until they reveal more things. There's no rush to pre-purchase. And you know what? If by the end of them revealing all the content, it's still not worth it to you, well, then there's no problem with that. But please, just don't jump on this bandwagon of the new players shouldn't get the game for free and I shouldn't have to pay for that. I mean, I've gone through all of that several times already and stuff like that. But really think about what it kind of means to you, and in terms of your finances compared to the value you get, and make your own decision like that. It's a perfectly acceptable response. All right, so I'm stepping in front of the firing squad here. I expect a lot of comments to disagree with me. These are my honest opinions on it. I am not all up in arms about it. I think there is a lot of missteps. I am depressed in general. I wish this went a whole different way. I wish the community was happy with the offering. I wish that ArenaNet foresaw some of these issues and kind of changed some of their wording on some of the things, or maybe switched up some of their rewards somewhere, so that everybody collectively could come together at this moment in the community and be happy and be excited and stuff like that. Instead, it's just this. It's depressing to go on Reddit or the forums right now. And so I don't know. Is ArenaNet going to change anything to placate it? I'm not sure. They need to make money. Maybe they can do something small, but I don't know. I think the damage has been done for a lot of people, and that's unfortunate. So that's going to wrap things up. I hope everybody enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like, favorite, subscribe before you go, and I hope everybody has a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. Take care.